Hi, I'm Melinda Van Fleet, and welcome to the Confident Conversations podcast. I'm a confidence and peak performance coach, best-selling author, and speaker who helps businesswomen develop confidence to believe in themselves, take action, and get results. This podcast shares authentic and transparent, thought-provoking stories, tips, and tools from my experiences, as well as incredible guests, so you can continue to build your confidence and live your best life. Thank you for joining me. Let's get started on this confidence journey. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Confident Conversations podcast. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I have an amazing special guest. Her name is Lisa Bennett. And let me ask you this. How do you make money work for you? My special guest today, Lisa Bennett, is the founder of WorkforceMillionaire.com. And she is the financial literacy coach for you if you would like to learn how to create passive income and retire on your own terms to live your dream life. Yay! She's the perfect person to know. She was told at the age of 42 that she never had to work again. People, Lisa, this is awesome. And Lisa and I connected because I am one of her speakers in her Movement and Healing for Computer Users 21-Day Summit, which kicks off Monday, June 21st. Welcome, Lisa.
Right?
You have to tell us your story.
My story. I came from the world of high tech. That was kind of accidental. Actually, I had two mentors. I couldn't have done all this without mentors, so that's why I highly encourage people to have mentors and coaches. But I was right out of college working in retail and living in a sublet one summer. I came home to this house and it was dark. And I went to the neighbor's house and knocked on the door and said, "Excuse me, do you have a flashlight? There's no lights on in my house." And they said, "Have you looked down the street?" So I looked down the street. I said, "Okay, so there's a power outage." They said, "Well, we're having a drink by the fire. Would you like to join us?" And I said, "Okay." So it was brandy snifters. Here I am, 22 years old. They found out basically that I was bright and working in retail. I had my degree from a really good university. And they said, "Yeah, you're going to change this. Here's how you write a resume. This is where you're going to apply. This is what you're going to wear. And once you get the job in high tech, come back and let us know." So due to Bob and Claire, thank God for Bob and Claire, I changed my career early, pretty much right out of college. And on an unsolicited resume to Hewlett-Packard, I interviewed at 3 jobs and was offered 2 jobs. I took the one that looked most interesting, and my career started there. I started at the bottom as a clerk, and I ended up a member of the program management organization for HP Managed Services, a long career of doing many different things, including R&D and management. And what Bob and Claire taught me when I was a tender young age was how to set aside 10% of my pay every month. They said, "Well, if you don't need it, just don't look at it, set it aside, and then learn how to make it work for you." And that's what I did. Honestly, it wasn't complicated. It took a certain commitment to pretty much pretending it wasn't there. So by the time I was 42, I was told by a financial advisor that I never had to work again. And probably 4 or 5 years ago, I began diversifying because what I had learned was the stock market. So a few years ago, I began diversifying into real estate. And now I have a pretty balanced portfolio across real estate and the stock market. I teach people how to start at the beginning with money mindset and budgeting, and also how to create passive income a variety of different ways. So I have programs that are both basics programs, real estate programs, and stock market programs. I've worked with kids. I've done a lot of pro bono work in the schools and in all of the local libraries for 2 counties here in California, teaching people about money basics, and then covering some of the high level work like passive income and real estate and the stock market. So what I did, the prompt for making this particular summit, I don't have all of my events be about money. My last event was about Bitcoin. I loved educating people about what Bitcoin is and what it isn't. And for this event, I decided that because during shelter in place, I had suffered a frozen shoulder. And I'm a former NC2A athlete. I'm pretty familiar with my body and the aches and pains and what I'm doing to it. But it came as a surprise to me when I froze my shoulder up, probably by using Zoom. The way I was holding my arms when I had my laptop up high so that I could look into the camera of my laptop. So I froze up my shoulder. I suffered for 6 months. And then I thought, if I'm going through this, I bet a lot of people are going through physical ailments during shelter in place. And everybody's familiar with the weight gain that's going on, feelings of helplessness or being out of control, a lot of depression. It's been increased alcohol use, and it's not a healthy place for people to feel cooped up for a year. We are naturally out in the world and communicating with other people. So it's been hard. I decided to bring in people who have to do with physical well-being, mental well-being, movement, healthy nutrition. People talk about hydration and sleep. Boy, it's across the board. I got some great experts in this area. Some are doctors. They're all authors. It ranges. Some were much, much higher level athletes than I was. Rocky Snyder. Mark Allen was a 6 times Ironman world champion. He will be speaking with us. Rocky Snyder is actually a local guy here in Santa Cruz, has written 3 books about being an athlete. We have people who talk about our mental state and getting us out of the feeling of being a victim or anger or feeling blame or shame or those dark qualities that we can get ourselves into, how to get ourselves into a higher mental state and a higher vibration. A lot of wonderful topics here.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see.
And we talked about,
you and I talked about relationships, and how to support each other during something like shelter in place in our relationships. And you had a great story about working with your husband.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I hope everyone tunes in because I definitely shared a lot. So, but I did it from a place of compassion and really just wanting to help someone out there because you really hope that your story lands on somebody that might be by themselves and really feeling alone. So, yeah. Now, every day, how many speakers are you having every day? How are you doing in this? What's the structure?
Yeah, so it begins rollout on June 21st. There will be 1 to 2 videos per day of these expert speakers. Most days will have 2 videos, and then also links to the free gifts that each expert is providing for the audience. So it's a win-win. You get to hear about what they do in their businesses and how they help people. They give you a free gift. And if you want, you can have lifetime access to all the videos afterwards. That would be buying into the VIP program. And also, everyone who attends the event is eligible for a 30-minute laser coaching session with me on any money topic. I do warn people, though, I don't give stock tips. I am not in the business of giving stock tips, but I absolutely can coach you how to make intelligent decisions around the stock market.
Wow. Now, were there any topics that ended up like evolving in the conversation that really ended up surprising you, where you were like, wow, that was like an amazing conversation that I didn't see coming?
Well, when Jay Campbell is going to kick this whole thing off. He raised his hand first, and he was our first speaker. And Jay Campbell started out as a bodybuilder. He's been like Mr. Physique. He's written books on testosterone and like high-powered workouts for men and women, but he's done a couple books on testosterone. He had an epiphany when he went to Peru, and he came back saying, I love the guy before he went to Peru. He's done some wonderful things in the world. But really what matters is that we all get out of the dark mindset, the blame and shame and guilt and victim and anger modes, and get into a higher vibration. He said, right now, I am all about getting into the higher vibration. So he and I had this really interesting conversation about that, because I am trained in a transformational leadership program, and we also work daily with commitments to bring our vibration up high, to live in love and connection with the rest of the world, and get out of our old stories and our victim stories and our anger. Personally, I work through having I have what I call a nerd. I've named this nerd Willis, after Bruce Willis. My nerd says, like, don't screw with me. And that it tends to happen when I run into administrative problems in a company where they have somehow, I feel like they've failed me because they're not administratively tight. I came from Hewlett Packard, which had very, very well-run administration. So anyway, this is my own story, right? But I get this little nerd in me that says, just don't mess with me. And I am learning how to turn that around and say, Lisa, just get curious. Just talk to the person. Like, how did this happen? It started when I got like triple billed for a copayment for the MRI for my shoulder, actually. Uh-huh. When this shoulder happened, I got billed and then billed again and then billed again. And I had called them and I had sent them my receipts and over and over. And then they sent me to collections. And so this collection agency is contacting me, and my nerd says, don't screw with me. And I want to get angry. But if you think about it from a heart and connection place, this collection agency has nothing to do with the process that sent them my bill. Nothing.
Right.
They're just an agency, right? So I called them and asked for the woman who'd been assigned to my case, and she wasn't there that day. And the girl said, but I could help you. And I said, okay. So I told her what had happened. And I said, what do you recommend? And she said, oh, just send us your visa statement. I'll take care of it. I said, really? And I won't get any more bills? She said, no, I'll take care of it. I said, do they normally have a problem with their invoicing like this? She said, no, they're usually on top of it. I said, great. Well, can you tell me your name? And she said, my name's Amor.
Aww.
So her name was Love. Her name was Love. I had to speak directly to Love to get it through my thick skull that instead of bringing out my Willis, who's always angry, I can turn to curiosity and connection with people and work on resolution of issues like this without getting angry and alienating people. So this is one of my lessons in life. So this is one of the things I am working on actively. And it was a great lesson because I got to speak directly to Love that day. She took care of the problem for me. And I hung up the phone and I cried because I realized, this was a lesson I got to learn. Mm-hmm. So that came out when I was speaking with Jay, and he loved that story too. And just how we can take life. It's all about our attitude, because we're interpreting everything that happens here. We are interpreting the fact that there's a disease that's running worldwide. We're interpreting what the government is doing about it. We're constantly putting values on what happens, but this is actually a neutral event. Mm-hmm. The fact that there is a pandemic in the world is a neutral event. And what we make of it is what's appearing in our lives.
Yes.
We will have several people who talk about that. I'm really looking forward to talking to Dr. Krim. She is the one psychiatrist in the group, and she and I are going to talk about the emotions that many people have been experiencing during shelter in place and how we make our meaning into our emotions and then how to get out of that. And Jay talked a lot about our emotional state, as well as Justin and Elise. They are both from Just Own It. And Justin talks about our sleep and our health and our epigenetics. And Elise, his partner, talks about our core energy. So this positivity that we can move from and the different levels of positive vibration in our lives. So that was cool. She had a 2-slide deck that she covered when she talked about that. That was also really interesting.
Yeah.
Some people talk about trauma. Several of these people have gone through major trauma and come out the other side and love to help people come out of emotional and traumatic events into a happier place. So yeah, it's all over the board. Some people give us healthy food. We have a couple of healthy cooks, and Sarah Bond. I had a Jones for having kombucha a couple of weeks ago when I was organizing this event. I looked online for a kombucha recipe, and Sarah Bond has the #1 kombucha recipes in the world right now, apparently. I thought, well, I got to meet her. So I contacted Sarah, and she is one of our speakers and actually teaches us in 45 minutes how to make your own kombucha. And I always thought you had to go to the store to buy the mother, and she teaches us how to make the mother, also known as the SCOBY, that actually, is the basis for your kombucha. So that was really fun, and she's a good instructor.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we have, Tony Bergens is coming. I haven't interviewed Tony yet, but Tony owns Journey Dance in New York, a big dance studio.
Uh-huh.
And she and I are going to talk about movement. And then she is gifting us with anyone who comes to the event is able to access a free Tuesday morning dance class at Journey Dance. So that's a cool thing. A lot of cool stuff going on here.
Yeah. Yep. And that's one of the things that I would love to be more intentional about is dancing, just dancing like by my computer or whatever. So that's really cool. Wow. I did kombucha for years. Oh my gosh, a very long time. And
really? You made your own?
Yeah. It's really not hard. It's just, it's a project. I guess you could put it that way. I got it down pretty quickly to like a half an hour of time. But yeah, and then if you don't keep up with it, then you kind of got to go through a batch and throw it away and then start over again in a way. But yeah, it was good while I was in that space in my life. But yeah, so that's cool. I'll have to listen because I don't know how to make this SCOBY from scratch. Actually, a friend had gifted me one. So that's how I got me a recipe. So yeah. Okay. And I remember my husband being like, okay, like, why don't you just drink apple cider or whatever it is, vinegar cider? I was like, no, but this is kombucha.
Tastes better. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked the taste. He wasn't a fan. So I was not, it was funny, but yeah, I did it for a very, very, very long time. So yeah, well, it sounds like an amazing lineup. And yes, there's so much to your own energy and how you can shift your mindset to get through tough times. And sometimes it's harder than others, and some days are harder than others. And obviously, if you have severe trauma, there's going to be layers to that. So it's important for people to know that it's just, you can't just, listen to a podcast and think it's all going to change. You have to actually do the work. But yeah, I mean, we talked, Ryan and I had a great year last year. Like we got so much done. We just like focused and didn't watch the news. We just stayed to ourselves and made a list of all the things we could accomplish in our business. And we tightened up extraneous expenses and we just really focused on growing our businesses, and it worked. So it's whatever you set your mind to, or you're going to sit and feel sorry for yourself, or you're going to, figure it out. So that's the work. That's the daily work to do that. But
good job. That was a very positive way of looking at being sheltered in place. Kudos to you. I also want to make a call out to Dr. Patrick Porter. He is one of the experts that I'm really looking forward to interviewing. And I have known about his work for at least 6 years, but he is the inventor of Brain Tap. So it's increased brain health through I think binaural is the way you say it, but you have
binaural beats.
A sound coming in 2 different ears that has 2 different wavelengths, and it is helping your brain. It's helping calm your brain and give you a healthier brain. So I'm really looking forward to talking to him. His work is world famous. And I actually have a guided meditation that uses his brain tap technology. So I have to have the headphones in a specific way that says this should be in your right ear and this should be in your left ear. And you are getting a little bit different signals in through both of your ears, and it's helping to sort of modulate your brain. It's a wonderful technology. So he's going to be talking to us as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really cool. I've definitely dug in a little bit to binaural beats. I am a member of Wellness Universe, and it was on one of our clubhouses that we were kind of talking about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe so strongly in, it really kind of boils down to finding what works for you with meditation music or binaural beats or sound. Do you like 450? Do you like, a different wavelength? So it's really cool. And I highly encourage people to kind of play around with that and see what feels good for you. And I've found over the years that I outgrow certain things, which is kind of interesting. I'll be like into a certain beat or sound wave. And then like a few months later, I'm like, oh, it's just this, I don't know if we move on from that. So it'd be interesting to hear what the doctor says. So
speaking of Clubhouse, we also have a Clubhouse set up, and I'm trying to find, it's 9 a.m. on
Friday, right?
Yeah. So that's the 18th, 9 a.m. Friday Movement and Healing Summit. And Katie Nall is going to be my co-host on that. And we're going to have the doors open for people to come in and ask questions of any of the experts who come to that. So yeah, show up. That's free and interesting.
Yeah. And
maybe it'll be
PST,
the first
right?
Raise your hand.
Yeah. And Pacific
yes,
time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. That's right.
So that's Pacific time, everyone. So 9 a.m. Pacific time is then noon Eastern. So people can kind of know. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I am super excited to hear everyone. It was great to record our conversation together. And once I hear, I know Lisa's putting together the schedule tonight, so I'll put that in the show notes, how to see the schedule and also how to sign up so you are in the loop. I'll put all of those fun things in the show notes. Anything else you want to add? Anything about people getting in touch with you?
Lisa at workforcemillionaire.com. And if you are interested in a free 30-minute laser coaching session on a money topic of your choice, no shame, no blame, no fault, just send me Lisa at workforcemillionaire.com and give it the title of laser coaching, and we'll get it set up.
That's awesome. Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for having me as part of your summit. I'm super excited, and I hope everyone signs up and tunes in. Awesome. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you.